everybody, this is Team All Effects, bringing you a Narukami deck profile. It's our guy Frankie.
What's up, guys? So for Narukami standard, we're going to be focusing on Vanquisher. Now, I would say, like in my opinion, my favorite Narukami leader would be Eradicator, Dragonic Descendant, but here we're going to bring you one of the topping decks right now, being Vanquisher, or would be topping if not for this virus. So to start us off, we're running 4 Vanquisher. He's pretty much the ace in the deck, because once you reach the 3 requirements, your front row is now getting plus 10k, which makes multi-attacking all the best because you would be hitting for 20 and higher, and you most likely would be over the amount that your opponent is. Unless you're fighting MLB, which we talked about last time, he's an 18k base, so if they pull a trigger, you may be a little bit more in a situation. Am I right, Richie?
That is correct. His other skill is also really good, though.
Yeah, his skill is Counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's front row rear guards and bind it. If your soul has a grade 3, you may also bind a card in your hand, and your opponent has to bind one in theirs. What's great about the skill is for just one counterblast, you bind something in the front row. So if Vanquisher is your first ride, and your opponent's at grade 2, or grade 3, depending, you can already start taking advantage of binding, and your other rear guards would have to get the other 2 binds, which is not a problem because as we go further into the deck profile, there's a lot of cards that are going to allow you to bind a card from your hand or get called out because you bounded them. Next, we run Jaggi Shot Dragoon. This right now, I would say, is the preferred card to have. Like, if this was Pale Moon, this is the Dorian that they needed. And for me, this is kind of the best card in the deck. He's the one that gets the multi-attacks happening for the ones that get called out when you're binding, that we will talk about later. So his skill is when this unit attacks a Vanguard, it has to be Vanguard, you may bind a card from your hand, and then bind a card on your opponent's front row rear circle. And then if your opponent has no rear guards in the front row, you get to draw a card. Its second skill is if Vanquisher is your Vanguard, since you put at the end of the battle, you send him to soul, and you draw an additional card. Overall, literally makes everything free as long as your opponent's front row is empty. Your Vanquisher takes care of one of them. It will take care of the second one, or there wasn't a second one to even touch. And you're going to be drawing and replacing cards you have and an extra draw for calling him out. Overall, an awesome
It's
card.
ambiguous.
You think so?
I'm not a good judge of this, but I'm going to say yeah.
Alright. So we don't know his gender, but if you know it, comment down below, and you can roast me about it. But whatever. On to grade 2s. We run 4 Chitura. Chitura is one of the old aces in the deck. Before, it used to be an 11k attacker, and it couldn't attack the rear guard. And if it hit, I can bind a card from my opponent's drop. But now it's a lot better. When it's bounded from hand, I can call it out to the field and give it an additional plus 10k. As well as when its attack hits, I can Soul Blast one and draw a card and bind a card in my opponent's front row. A lot of these cards are going to say you can bind a card in your opponent's front row, but after 2 binds, there's not really anything else to get. Mind you, it's a great skill to have to remove things in your opponent's front. The grade 2s are usually the most malevolent to take care of, but you're just doing it for the extra draws so that you can guard for the following turns.
This is one of the cards I will always target with Blaster Blade. I hate Chitura. It is so damn good.
I can totally see that. Its second skill about drawing a card is great, but the 10k is only for that time that it gets called out. I wish you can, like, shuffle them, like Rising Phoenix, but that's me asking for too much. Next, we got 4 of the Voltec Shred Dragon. What a weird name. It's a rare in the deck. Overall, best thing about it is that you can bind another card in your hand to call out. So he just does the bare minimum that we needed for this deck. So for one Soul Blast, you draw a card first, which is, I think, amazing. Mind you, you guys have to have Dragonic Vanquisher as your Vanguard. But once you Soul Blast one, draw a card first, and then bind a card from your hand. We're talking about one of those very close games that I had recently, where I was down to what I drove check, and the next card I draw and bind. And like it could be one card too. But if you just draw another card that you can superior call, that can change the game indefinitely. It could literally just end the game as well if they had the perfect amount to guard. Moving on, we got 2 Zweeten. Now, some people are running 3. I'm running 2 because I want to incorporate a one of in the deck, which is the new Voltage Horn Dragon. Because, as we recently know, Cho got restricted to 2, and I would have really liked 3 Cho in this deck. But Voltage Horn's a good second, and it also gets that 5k skill. But back to Zweeden. I run 2 for the sole fact that if you get him a little early, even though it's at 2, you can call him to rear circle and start searching for other pieces of your deck. While your opponent's at 1 or 2, they don't really have a field. So you can take full advantage of that and start cycling him out to get probably something better. Next, we got 2 Eradicator Choa. Now, this card recently got restricted to do, well, which I really don't understand. I don't think the restanding was too much for the deck, as when Gauntlet Buster was around, a lot of counterblast went into Gauntlet Buster. Him being the card restricted, I think, was a false call. What do you think about that?
They're gonna restrict him. I don't think they should have put it at 2. Because like if they really thought he was a problem, they could hit him to 1 or ban him. I think they just wanted to like kind of slow down the deck, but I honestly would have hit Chatura.
Well, Chatura just came out.
Well, no one's playing Gauntlet Buster anymore. This card's best in Gauntlet Buster.
Yeah, I fully agree. So yeah, I'm running 2 Choa, and my one of is Voltage Horn Dragon. Now, I kind of put in Voltage Horn Dragon for the same first skill of Choa. It is a little bit better because it's when he attacks, I can move something up, and that's probably if you want to get like a pesky card like, I don't know, Wingull Brave to the front row so you can bind it. Timing for this skill changes depending on what powers everything is. Most of the time, I don't see me using it to bind something and then move something up. It's mostly just counterblast to move something up, which doesn't hurt me as much since I don't use a lot of counterblast in my games anyway, and that's a reason why I guard early opposed to guarding late. But yep, now on to grade 1s, guys. I'm running 4 of the Desert Gunner Bahan. Hopefully I did not butcher that. If I did, you can roast me. But Bahan is the secondary to Chatura, since it's another card that says when bounded I can superior call it. Mostly I'm using this one Chatura. They're all being used as attackers. In this deck, you give front row plus 10k. Boosting is not really a necessity unless you're fighting an opponent who trigger damaged multiple times, being a 30k or whatever. Or if you're fighting MLB who just got 1 damage check, which was a trigger, and then you're fighting the odds. So I'm running 4 of Desert Gunner Bahan for that same reason of Chatura. I need to get the more multi-attacks in, and then back to Voltec Shredder. If I were to draw it from my last card in hand and bind it, it's another attack that could have finished the game. Moving on, I run 4 Mighty Bolt Dragoon. The new Stride Enablers. God, if I can tell you how many times I used that Stride Enabler in G. Never. Okay. Now, for Mighty Bolt Dragoon, I use it for its second skill mainly. The 5k is just a plus. Once you start having your back row, it just stays there. I haven't seen a lot of people binding or retiring my back row units as much anymore. So if you got it, you call it out, try to get a Jaggy shot, maybe a Vanquisher. Next turn you think you can ride another Vanquisher for another Excel Circle. But overall, gets me my Jaggy shot, continues the combo. Probably a solid staple in the deck. Lastly is Rising Phoenix. Rising Phoenix is a iffy card to explain. You want to use it for 2 different purposes. It's not a card that would be removed from the deck. Overall, I think every Narukami deck is probably going to run Rising Phoenix. It's a big staple. But depending on how your game is going, it can either be the cards that you just want to fill the back row with, or the card you want to keep cycling. So I try to keep 2 Phoenixes on standby if I want to do some cycling with them. And you can just focus on one rear circle too, and just keep replacing that rear circle with 2 of them. You can probably do it like probably twice. So the one you called the first time attack, followed by the second one, 3 times might be, and then you can call it one more time out. But that's incorporating the ideas of what Cho-Oh and Voltage Horn can do. So overall, Rising Phoenix is a great card. You can either have it giving your back row the boost and just leave them there, or you can use it to cycle the attacks. We're going to go on to grade zeros. For grade zeros, it's pretty self-explanatory. We do not get the crits until later, which is the 30k crit. But currently, we're going to be running 4 of the Malevolent Djinn crit, 4 of the Spark Edge Dragoon, 4 of the Eradicator heal, and 4 of the Perfect Guard draw trigger. I'm not running fronts for the same purpose that my Vanguard already gives me the 10k to the front. Now, if I did get fronts later, I don't think it would change much, because as games go further, depending on what you're fighting, your attack coordination or pattern changes depending on who you're going against. So sometimes when I attack with my Vanguard, it's already 2 rear guards rested, and like probably only 2 other ones are going to gain the 10k. And even with that, those 2 are going to cycle. So I don't see it as the best call to run fronts, because not everyone's going to see it. So I stuck with the crits for that purpose. If we later do get the 30k crit earlier than towards the end of the year, if I could have incorporated that, it would be the 10th crit, or I run 10 crits, 2 of them being that crit and 2 of them being the draw PGs. Because as we've seen games go further in standard in the last 2 years, Excel has like a tendency to keep reappearing as a very strong meta induced gift. So I would rather have 30k Sentinels than P guards, because I'd rather guard with 1 card from hand than having to lose 2 against a deck that's going to be attacking me more than what's on the field. But overall, that's my deck profile. I hope you. Spark Kid Dragoon. Sorry about that, my starter. We don't have any other starter for right now. But Spark Kid Dragoon is what we get right now. It's true. I want an Eradicator one. I don't know which one I want. Oh, wait, I do. What's his name? Whatever. I'll probably just show it at the end of the video. But overall, hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you want to see more of this content, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll totally bring you more. After this video comes up, the next video that we probably would be doing is a battle against MOB. And overall, you can give us opinions on how we can bring better content to y'all. Other than that, hope you enjoy, and see you next time.